That's the quantum theory. The quantum theory computes on multiple realities. So the question is, why are quantum computers so powerful? They compute on parallel universes. That's why they're so powerful.
And if entanglement has shown us anything, it's this: reality is far more connected than it seems. And perhaps so are we. One interpretation of quantum mechanics says it does scale. It's called the many worlds interpretation, and it proposes something extraordinary. That every possible outcome actually happens, just not in this world. Every time a quantum event occurs, the universe doesn't pick a single path. Instead, it splits. One version of you goes left. Another goes right. One version says yes. Another says no. Every possible outcome becomes real in a different timeline, in a different branch of reality. If this sounds like science fiction, remember, this theory was created not to entertain, but to solve a very real problem in physics. It removes the need for wave function collapse entirely. Instead of picking one result, the universe accommodates all of them. Each outcome has its own timeline, its own version of events, its own you. This means you are not a singular identity moving through a single path. You are one thread in an infinite tapestry of versions, each experiencing a different variation of life, shaped by different choices, accidents, and moments of awareness. Let that sink in for a moment. There may be versions of you who made every decision you didn't, who took every risk you feared, who followed every dream you abandoned. And they're not symbolic. They could be as real as the version you're living now, just inaccessible from this frame of reference. This opens up mind-bending questions. Could things like déjà vu, sudden intuition, or even dreams contain glimpses of another path? Another you? Some researchers have begun exploring the possibility that consciousness might not be strictly localized. That under specific conditions, extreme focus, deep meditation, altered states, the boundaries between timelines could blur, and information might bleed through. Though speculative, these ideas echo something ancient: the feeling that we are more than just this one life, this one self, this one path. Superposition also forces us to reconsider the nature of reality itself. If the universe waits to resolve possibilities until observation, then before that observation. This puts a tremendous focus on awareness. Consciousness, in this context, isn't just a passive lens, it's a trigger for collapse. A participant in selection. A force that shifts probability into presence. And that leads us to a compelling question. Do our thoughts, our expectations, even our emotions influence which of those potential realities becomes the one we experience? While science hasn't proven that consciousness selects realities from a quantum menu, the concept aligns with something many already sense: that focus, belief, and intention play a deeper role in shaping outcomes than we fully understand. Think about the decisions you've made, those turning points where one choice changed everything. Could those moments have been quantum forks? Not just emotionally, but literally? Could your awareness in that moment have defined which version of reality became your path? There's also a psychological layer to consider. Superposition mirrors the mind's own indecision. Before choosing, you too are in a kind of cognitive superposition. You weigh options, hold multiple futures in your head. And only when you commit does one become real. Is this a coincidence? Or does it reveal something deeper, some resonance between mental process and quantum behavior? Then there's the matter of identity. If countless versions of you exist across countless outcomes, what defines who you are? Are you just the sum of your choices? Or is there a core self, a conscious witness, traveling through many worlds, observing different lifelines? The many worlds theory doesn't offer a moral compass. It doesn't decide which version of you is better, or truer. It simply says all outcomes unfold. But consciousness, the experience of awareness, might be what stitches meaning into the path you're on. The philosophical implications are profound. Free will, destiny, parallel lives, personal power, they all get reshaped under the lens of quantum superposition. And this isn't just a curiosity. It affects how you live. If reality is not fixed, if outcomes are fluid until observed, then your presence in each moment matters deeply. Your focus matters. Your attention is not a passive spotlight. It's a force that may help define the shape of your world. That's the message hidden within the mathematics. You are not a static object in a dead universe. You are an active participant in a probabilistic cosmos. This is the true revolution of quantum thought. It doesn't just rewrite physics. It rewrites your role in reality. And we're only scratching the surface. Next, we explore a radical possibility. That the human brain is not just a biological machine but a quantum processor. And that your consciousness might emerge not from complexity, but from quantum coherence itself. Every outcome begins as a possibility. A moment before the moment. A field of potential before it becomes fact. Beneath the surface of everything lies the quantum field. A vast, invisible sea of potential states. It is from this field that all forms arise. This is not philosophy, it's physics. Now consider this. If the quantum field contains all possible realities, then what determines which of those possibilities becomes real? And more provocatively, can thought, focused, intentional thought, play a role in influencing that selection? These fields also contain superpositions, states that exist in multiple possibilities simultaneously. Only when something forces a choice, a measurement, an interaction, an observation, do those possibilities collapse into a single outcome. Because if consciousness interacts with the quantum field, then even subtle intentions might act as nudges, tiny shifts in the probability landscape that guide which potentials rise to the surface. Let's consider visualization. When you visualize something clearly, your brain activates as if you're actually experiencing it. The quantum field is probabilistic, not magic. That it might subtly influence which doors open, which patterns emerge, which outcomes stabilize. And consciousness is a form of observation. Then a focused mind is not just watching the world. It may be shaping its probabilities from within. There's also the principle of entanglement to consider, but are somehow linked to distant systems. Then intention might extend beyond the personal. This would mean that collective focus, shared goals, is important, however, to avoid simplistic thinking, demanding outcomes. It's about alignment between thought, emotion, action, and awareness. It's about coherence between the inner world and the outer field. The quantum perspective reframes this. It says, you are not a passive observer. You are part of the process that chooses reality. Your focus, your clarity, your belief, these may influence which version of the world becomes stable. Out of all those that are possible, it also suggests responsibility. If your thoughts carry influence, then cultivating clarity, integrity, and emotional awareness becomes more than personal development. It becomes an act of participation in the fabric of creation. You don't control the entire quantum field, but you may be able to influence your point of resonance within it. You may be able to tip the scale not with force but with frequency. The field, after all, is not just random. It responds to patterns. And thought, clear, coherent, conscious thought, is a pattern. This perspective empowers you. It suggests that manifestation is not superstition, but a subtle form of interaction with the deepest layers of physical reality. And it brings us to the final and most profound question of all. If your thoughts can touch the field, if your awareness shapes possibility, then what is the field itself made of? Next, we confront the ultimate mystery. Is consciousness not just a participant in reality, but the very foundation of it? Everything we've explored until now has pointed in one direction. Toward a possibility that defies everything classical physics once believed. That consciousness is not just present in the universe, It may be the very substance from which the universe arises. This is not poetic metaphor. It's an increasingly serious question posed by physicists, philosophers, and neuroscientists alike. Could consciousness be more than an emergent property of complex brains? Could it be the ground-level ingredient of existence itself? For centuries, science has operated under materialism, the belief that matter comes first and mind is a byproduct. In this view, consciousness emerges only when matter reaches a certain level of complexity. It's treated as secondary, as something that happens after the physical has already been formed. But quantum theory is breaking that assumption apart. At the quantum level, particles behave probabilistically. They have no definite state until measured. This measurement problem, the question of what causes the collapse of the wave function, remains unresolved. And at its center is a glaring puzzle: the role of the observer. The more we study this, the clearer it becomes that consciousness cannot be cleanly separated from the process of reality unfolding. It seems to participate in making things definite, in pulling actuality from the fog of potential. This has led to bold proposals. One such idea comes from the physicist John Archibald Wheeler, who described a participatory universe. In this model, consciousness is not a passive witness. It is an active agent in bringing the universe into being. Observers are not outside the system. They are part of the system, fundamental to its evolution. Another idea is panpsychism, the theory that consciousness is not exclusive to humans or animals, but is a basic feature of all matter. In this view, even the smallest particles possess some rudimentary form of experience or awareness. Not thought, not emotion, but a fundamental capacity to experience, to feel, to know existence from the inside. This is not mysticism disguised as science. It's a philosophical attempt to solve the hard problem of consciousness by shifting the foundation. If we cannot explain how matter produces mind, perhaps we need to consider that mind was there from the start. Then there's the integrated information theory, which attempts to mathematically quantify consciousness based on how much information a system can integrate into a unified whole. According to this framework, consciousness is not about intelligence or behavior, it's about structure. And under certain conditions, even very simple systems could possess a glimmer of awareness. The implications are staggering. If consciousness is not produced by the brain but filtered through it, then the brain is not a generator but a receiver, a tuner, an interface. This reframes what it means to be a self. You are not merely a product of neurons. You are an expression of something deeper, a point of awareness localized in the stream of a greater, possibly infinite field of consciousness. It also reframes our understanding of death. If consciousness is not dependent on the body, then it may not end with it. It may continue, transform, or reconnect with the broader field from which it emerged. These are no longer fringe ideas. Some of the most brilliant minds in science and philosophy are actively exploring them, because quantum theory demands a new ontology, a new way of thinking about what is fundamentally real. In the classical world, things are made of stuff, atoms, molecules, objects with mass and extension. But in the quantum world, reality is made of probabilities, tendencies, possibilities waiting to be observed. And what is observation, if not a conscious act? This doesn't mean the world disappears when no one is looking, but it does suggest that awareness is woven into the fabric of existence, that what we call matter is not separate from mind, but arising with it, through it, as part of a single unified process. This idea is also echoed in spiritual traditions across cultures. The Upanishads speak of Brahman, pure consciousness, as the foundation of all things. Buddhist philosophy describes mind as the mirror in which all phenomena arise. Indigenous traditions speak of the world as alive, aware, and responsive. What quantum theory is doing, consciously or not, is catching up to these ideas in its own language. And that brings us full circle. We began with particles behaving strangely when observed. We saw how entanglement hints at hidden unity, how superposition challenges the idea of a single self, how the brain may be more than matter, how intention might influence outcomes through resonance with the quantum field. all of these ideas converge in a single realization, that consciousness is not something happening inside the universe, but something the universe is happening within. You are not observing the world from outside. You are the world becoming aware of itself. Through your eyes, through your thoughts, through this very moment of attention. And here's the most powerful part. If consciousness is fundamental, then your awareness right now is not just a biological glitch. It's not an illusion. It is real. It is central. It is connected. This means your presence matters. Your thoughts matter. Your attention has weight not just emotionally or psychologically, but physically. Existentially, you are not a speck in a cold, indifferent cosmos. You are a node of perception in a living field of awareness. And your experience contributes to the very act of existence. So the next time you sit in silence, the next time you focus on a thought, a feeling, a breath, remember this: you are not observing reality from the outside. You are participating in its unfolding as consciousness itself. And that is the secret quantum physics has been whispering all along.
我真服了，这真是懒驴屎尿多，刚出服了，这真是懒驴屎尿多，刚出啊，我吐。
This has been a Pinguinati production. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, links are in the description.